Now in this lesson we're going to talk about something that I've seen show up in a lot of interesting designs lately, especially in movie posters, and it's creating that the aged folds and creases in an image, and it pops up every now and then, and usually you see it. It's almost a mistake, whereas somebody took a poster, folded it, and then they unfolded it and took a picture of it. But I've seen a lot of people introducing that into certain types of designs and posters just to add a little bit more age to something, or just give it a vintage look or something like that. And that's what we're going to do here in this lesson. So we're going to start by creating a new blank layer. I've gone ahead and created a new blank layer above this image, and we're going to go into the toolbar and grab the rectangular marquee and just expand the document out here a little bit. I'm just going to draw a selection in the top corner here. Now I'm not keeping the constraint. I'm not holding down the shift key to make it a perfect square. It doesn't need to be. In fact, if you unfold something that's been folded several times over, it's none of the sections are the same size anyway. So we're going to put this selection right about there, and I want to use this to add some guides to my image. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my rulers by pressing Command or Control R. And let's go ahead and drag out a vertical guide and a horizontal guide. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag out another vertical one just around this way, so kind of act as the other fold in the image. So we'll deselect, and now my image is broken up into 6 parts, 6 sections. So on that new blank layer, we're going to I actually did want to keep that selection. So let's select the first square here, and it will snap to the edge of the guides to help you get the whole area selected there. And we're going to add a gradient. So we're going to go into select the gradient tool and choose the simple black to white gradient, which is the third icon over. And then just draw the gradient inside of this layer. Let's go from any direction. Let's go like that. And then we're going to go ahead and make a selection on the next square, and then give it a gradient from a different direction. Just kind of choose a different direction each time. And that'll work. And again, so you're going to go to each one and draw a selection, and then add a gradient, just like I'm doing now, just from a different direction. This is what's going to create the glare of creases in the various folds of this image here. So just a couple more here. Let's add these last 2. Let's draw that out there. And then last one right here. And there we go. So we've got the file. Each square has its own arrangement of gradients, and everything looks pretty good. But I'm going to go in here and change the blend mode of this now from normal to soft light. And you can see what's going on here. If I turn off the guides for the moment, you can see it's giving me creases and variations of light like these are actually folds in there. So that's looking pretty good. Well, go ahead and create a new blank layer. So let's assume that these have been folded, and maybe, when you fold something, especially a magazine, the creases tend to show up, and you start to see the white of the paper starting to peel through the glossiness. So we're going to achieve that with a brush. So we go over here into the toolbar and grab the brush tool. And we're going to go in here and grab, if you don't have this segment open, you can go in here and choose the new, or into the brush menu here and choose Natural Brushes. And just go ahead and append it to the existing list if you like. And you get a whole bunch of these little stipply style brushes here, as you see. It's got stipple, all these. Very, very cool brushes. So I'm going to select this one right here, the stipple dense. And we're going to go in here and change the behavior of it. So I'm going to go over here into the brush options here. And in the brush tip shape area, first thing we're going to do is actually squash the shape of the brush down. So we grab either one of these top or bottom handles and just squash this down. Just like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and increase the spacing to about 50. So you can see it's getting really broken up there. Let's actually widen that up a little bit there. Next thing is, we're going to go ahead and activate Shape Dynamics. And let's go ahead and have the size jitter all the way to 100%. But I'm also going to go down here to the angle jitter. And it's already set on here from the last time I did it, but the control setting for the angle jitter we're going to set to direction. And that way it will follow the cursor no matter which direction we're going. So if we start to paint a little bit, you'll see it starts to get a little bit of an element there of that tearing. If we increase the size a little bit, You can see that texture kind of creeping through. There it is. So, almost there. Now what we're going to do is activate the dual brush setting. And then go in here, and actually you can choose the same stipple brush or one like it. And inside here we're going to change a few properties. Well, first change the blend mode of this dual brush to multiply right here. And then we're going to increase the spacing and the scattering slightly, just to give kind of a more broken up element there of our brush. So when we paint, this can, see how it kind of gets broken up in there? That looks pretty good. So you can see it's just kind of giving me little creases here and there, so not too bad. So that looks pretty good. So now what we can do is go in here and just trace along those folds we created. So I'm just going to go down here, just hold down my shift key and just drag over. And it's going to add those creases in there. Make that brush a little bit smaller, just use my bracket key. And just add elements. You can even stop and start again just to add little tiny creases in there. Just little areas of wear. And again, starting at the top here, I'm just going to hold the shift key down, drag down. And remember, it's got that setting on that we applied, the direction. So now you can see it's going vertical with the brush instead of staying horizontal, and that's because of that one setting. So we can add some more creases here, and just a little bit of wear in there. You can even change the blend mode of this to overlay. Actually, not overlay. Let's do hard light. Drop the opacity, so it's not quite as intense. So it's just those little subtle creases in there, those little areas of wear. And you can give it a little bit more depth by going in here and just giving it a little bit of a bevel and emboss. Increasing that depth in there. We'll do it downward. So if you change the direction to down, notice how it's going in there and kind of giving a little bit of depth, like it's really kind of creasing in there. So you see the before and after? So it tends to get a little bit of depth in there. And make it a little less. Let's drop the opacity of the shadow a little bit. I'll do about 50%. There we go. So there are my creases in there. Well, I'm going to add one more thing to this just to make it that much more realistic. If we select on the layer containing all those gradients that's blending with the soft light blend mode, go to Filter, to Artistic, and choose Plastic Wrap. And what this will do is give us a kind of a glossy glow around those corner folded edges. You notice what's going on here? See around those corner areas? You can take the highlight. Actually, I do like the highlight where it is. It's the smoothness. I'm going to drop down a little bit. Drop the smoothness to around 10. So you can see it's giving me little shiny areas around those areas that are folding. And we'll click OK, and there is that much more dimension. Now, immediately after I've applied that, you can go into the Edit menu and choose Fade Plastic Wrap and blend it even more so using a blend mode. Maybe set it to Overlay. And you can see some of that gets a little bit tighter in there. Some more, well, actually hard light looks pretty good because it blends in those areas a little bit better. And then we'll turn on the area that contains our creases once again, and now we've got what looks like those aged folds along with those folded creases in there to go from a brand new poster to something more old and vintage. Very, very cool. We just finally add our text to our poster, and look, it's an old Just Do It Nike poster, taken out of the closet and unfolded for our viewing pleasure. But again, like I said in the beginning, folds and creases are usually something you want to take out of an image whenever you have it inside Photoshop. You want to take those out to make your image look that much better. But lately they're starting to add the creases and little grunge things like this to designs to give them that vintage look. It gives it a kind of a character to it in an old school sort of way. So another interesting way of using brushes and layers and blend modes to get a very interesting vintage fold effect.